I was like, I'm gonna have this beautiful queer experience in this cabin. Yeah, that's what I thought. They wound up inviting their brother, a bunch of their friends.
I'm Andrea Gunning.
And I'm Ben Fetterman.
And this is Dating Diaries, Questions and Confessions. Ben, have you ever heard someone say that your person could be at the most unexpected place? Maybe even in the produce section at the grocery store, or maybe in the dog park, which, speaking of dogs, my dog's being a nut today, and you're probably gonna hear him panting and barking in the background. But if you could just start talking to the one person you're curious about, just get up the nerve.
Right, like you see someone attractive and you're just like, freeze, what do I do?
I'm not sure I could walk up to a stranger and put it all out there. But we met a single lady who isn't afraid of putting herself on the line. She's a total risk taker, and she found someone at a place I would never think of. Laura is a single mom with 3 kids and a balls-to-the-wall sense of humor. And she's got a big heart. Her day job is working in the mental health space.
I worked in the prison for 10 years until I had my youngest. And then I went back to school for my master's in clinical mental health counseling, because who's better to help crazy people than someone who's crazy themselves?
Laura knows what she needs, and she isn't afraid to ask for it. In fact, Laura calls it, quote, adult exercise. And she can spot an opportunity in places other people wouldn't even think of.
So I woke up real sick, had a fever, and the worst sore throat of my life. I knew it was strep, so I went to the urgent care, and I hear a man's voice say my name, and I look over, and he's the hottest medical assistant I've ever seen in my entire life. I was just dumbfounded. I was like, oh my God.
And what was the first thing she thought of?
The anxiety in me started to creep up because I knew he was going to put me on the scale first. And no woman ever wants to do that. No matter how much I suck it in, it's still going to show the same number on the scale, right? So I get up there and, he's smiling and just really nice.
Even though she was sick with a fever and about to get weighed, that medical assistant smile just slayed her.
I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go for it.
He was that hot?
The strep throat, the fever was out the door. I felt like I could run the New York City Marathon and win, okay? And I hate running. I won't even run if the dog's chasing to kill me.
So she started by working her boobs into the conversation.
I'm taking off my 3 hooded sweatshirts because my fever, I was freezing, because I didn't want the number on the damn scale to be too high. I was fixing to get butt naked for this weigh-in. So I step off the scale and I said, hey, can you take 4 pounds off, because each of my boobs are 2 pounds each. And he looked at me and he started to blush. And I said, well, no, I actually know that because they're fake. And they are 600 cc's each. So they are 2 pounds each. And he doctored my weight on the chart.
Yes, please subtract 4 pounds for my breast implants on my urgent care weigh-in. I'm using that one from now on.
So I follow him into the room. He's got a man bun, okay? Totally not my type. But again, I'm out in Colorado. People are out here. They all, I like to swing from trees. I'm originally from New York. I'm like, who goes camping? I pay a utilities bill so that I have running water, right? I'm not going to go and shit in the woods.
Okay, she's so not going camping with man bun. But it's a great conversation starter.
I said, do you know what they call a man bun? And he said, no. What? I said, a handlebar. And he smiles. And right there, I could see in his eyes, he was interested as well. So I couldn't stop myself.
Wait for it.
Next comes, oh, Laura, I'm going to have to swab your throat for strep. You may gag. Instantly, I said, oh, I don't have a gag reflex. And made my smile nice and bright. And he chuckles. And I could see he was trying to maintain professionalism. He does the swab and he goes, wow, you really don't have a gag reflex. And I said, well, maybe you'll see it again later. So at this point, I am fully invested. He's filling out the rest of my discharge paperwork. Sure enough, I came back positive for strep. Not that that's relevant. Outrageously, my fever came in at 102.6. So maybe I was borderline delirious, but really that's me at baseline. So I probably looked like a homeless person because, oh, no, wait, you don't have makeup on, Laura. You definitely ran out of bed and you have stains on your clothes. My shoes didn't even match. I was wearing a brown Ugg and a black Ugg. I didn't even realize that till I got in the car afterward.
At this point, I bet Man Bun wasn't even thinking about whether her Uggs matched either.
He was feeling it, giving me the good vibes. And he said, is there anything else that you need? And I said, yeah, just your number. And he looked at me and smiled. And then he turned around and wrote on my paper and handed me my discharge notes. I walk out, I open the discharge note. It has his name and his phone number.
Laura called him. They went out and have been friends and buddies ever since. There's a real connection, but it's not too serious.
It was more casual, though I will say he is one of the greatest people I've ever met. He is just fun and smart, but it's more so me feeling as though, you know, he's still young. We have had a lot of fun together, and he's one of my dearest friends. And, you know, if our lives were at different stages, it could progress some more, but he is awesome.
Not only that, Laura gets premium service at urgent care.
Now, whenever I go, I'm like, hey, can you get me out of the waiting room faster?
I said at the beginning of this episode, you're probably going to hear Mulaney weigh in. But let's talk about Laura. I need to channel some of this confidence, I have to say. I have this guy that I see every day when I walk Mulaney in the morning and in the afternoon. And I wish I had the nerve to talk to him. He's so cute. If I were Laura, I would have banged this guy already. But I don't want to put myself out there. It's too nerve-wracking. I don't know why. Like, her confidence is innate, you know? She doesn't care. She's going for the big swing.
I'm going to quote her and say, there's a little bit of crazy to be that crazy confident, right? Like, throw conventional wisdom and manners and politeness out the door. Like, she goes after something she wants. See it, do it. Eye on the prize. I'm not going to drop the bone here. Speaking of dogs.
So she came on to this guy who's just trying to get through his day at work. She came on to him very strongly.
It had to have made his day more interesting, right? It's the people, it's the interactions that probably keep that job really interesting and on your toes. And then this chick walks in.
Stain-ridden pajamas.
Mismatching Uggs.
But that does not deter her.
Oh, no. She leaned into it. She's like, I may not be presenting as my best self, but if I need to get naked right now to get through this weigh-in, she'll put it all out there.
I've seen a picture of this medical assistant. He is ripped AF. His body is schmokin'.
Toit.
It is toit. I would not want a super tight, muscular, sexy man weighing me, especially when I've got stain-riddled clothing and 2 different color Uggs on.
I could see anxiety about how you're appearing if this is someone you're interested in. I get the weight thing for sure, but I also think it's part of his job. He's seeing different weights and bodies like every day. It's part of what he's dealing with. It doesn't change your own internal anxiety of like, I want to show up as my best self. I mean, she's subtracting boob weight.
She just wanted him to know that she's got good tatas.
I love it. She's empowered. Like, she's letting him know that this is what she wants. But it did raise the question for me, Dre, like, at what point is that too much?
Well, if I'm getting served that type of like aggressive pickup lines at work from a guy, I'm freaked out, to be honest.
But what if you're into him? Like, I think that's the key distinction. But what is that line? It's so hard.
If you're interested in someone, you slip them their number and say, hey, I think you're really attractive. If you're interested, give me a call.
Right. It's a level of confidence, right?
If she has enough confidence to say, you know what they call man buns, handlebars, she has enough confidence to say, listen, I know I'm not my best self right now, but I think you're really attractive. And if you ever want to grab a drink, here's my number. Like, if she can say something that insane, she can handle a decent pickup line. That's not objectifying or too intense.
But there is something about being on the clock. Like, it is a bit of a customer service role. And like, he's expected to hold a standard of service. And like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but I just feel like he kind of doesn't have a choice. It's part of the problem.
If I could just inherit like a iota of her confidence, I could maybe talk to the cute guy with the pit bull named Chance from Homeward Bound. Sharmi grew up and attended college in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. That's where Penn State University is located. And while it's a place where everyone really does smile a lot, Sharmi didn't always feel like she could completely be herself there.
That's why I didn't come out until much, much later in life, because I grew up in a town where I was told that I kind of needed to be straight and have a house and have kids and go to church every Sunday. And I figured out very quickly in college, I'm like, I don't think this is gonna work for me.
Sharmi is bisexual, and recently she's been dating more women. She moved to the West Coast to live her authentic life and pursue her career goals.
I am an actor, producer, writer. I'm currently working on my very first book, which is very exciting. It's actually about dating, but for the first time as a bisexual.
She has plenty of experiences to draw on with both sexes.
When it comes to dating, it's really difficult to find somebody that matches your crazy. Like, everybody has a crazy. Everybody has things that make them different. But I have had my fair share of like way over the line that I was like, okay, I don't know who you're gonna find.
Amen to that, sister. So what does Sharmi look for in a partner?
I want somebody that is very passionate about what they do. To me, that is a total turn on. If somebody's like, I'm doing this and this and this, I'm super passionate about this, I love this, because that's the way that I am as well.
And it's a great way to be.
Also, I'm looking for a very quick spark. If I am going to like be with that person, I want to feel like I want to rip that person's clothes off when I first see them. I think that's something maybe I'm missing, or there's like a missing puzzle piece.
Sharmi's friend thought maybe she wasn't giving her dates a real chance. Sometimes people become more attractive when you get to know them better over time.
So I went on a date with somebody and they seemed great. Their profile, I was like, okay, they're cute. And then I met up with them and I was like, okay, they're cool. We kissed and I wasn't feeling much of a spark, but I was talking to lots of my friends about it. And I was like, I didn't feel that rip your clothes off initial spark. And my friend was like, I went on multiple dates with my boyfriend and like, maybe you can build that intimacy, it's fine. So I was like, okay, like I'll throw this person a bone. So I reached out to them. I'm like, I'd love to hang out again, go to dinner. And they said to me, oh, I'd rather be friends. I was like, I would rather be friends with you. I was just trying to be nice. And it sucked because I felt like I was rejected.
I was going to reject you, but I was trying to be a better person. Then you rejected me? Well, you get points for trying, Sharmi.
I'm new to like the gay dating world, but I met this girl on Bumble. We matched and they were saying all the things that I love to hear. I like when somebody is more into their health, and they were like, I'm plant-based. They worked at this restaurant. They just seemed really cool. So I was like, okay, we'll meet up. So we met up and went to this arts festival and it was so gorgeous. There was like Reiki healing, crystals, organic fruits. There was a giant charcuterie board of beautiful things. I could tell they were like feeling me, they were feeling the date. It was like going really great. We then went to a little Chinese food restaurant, like hole in the wall place, but it's really, really good. We got boba, it was great. And then the drive back home, we were listening to Beyonce and like dancing to Beyonce in their car. And I was like, okay, this is great, this person's great.
Car dancing to Queen Bee? This sounds like an awesome date. What would happen next? It was near the holidays, and Sharmi was leaving to see her family back in Pennsylvania.
And then they were texting me back and forth, very like initiating conversation. I was like, love this. And then they text me and they were like, hey, when you get back to LA, do you want to go to the mountains with me? I thought they meant a hike because in LA, everybody hikes. I was like, yeah, sure. I'll go to the mountains, up the mountain, Runyon Canyon, whatever. But what they actually meant was that they rented out this giant cabin. I found out later they were rich, rented out this giant cabin in Big Bear.
Charmy was stoked. A romantic weekend in a big snowy cabin up in Big Bear. Sounded nice.
I was like, I'm going to have this beautiful queer experience in this cabin. Yeah, that's what I thought. So they wound up inviting their brother, a bunch of their friends. And I was like, well, this is not the queer experience that I wanted, to be surrounded by a bunch of like straight men. They kept talking about like all the different drugs that I had never even heard of before.
Wait, this was a group trip? The weekend was not really represented accurately to Charmy.
I was like, okay, this is weird. So the moment we get there, I could tell the energy had shifted. Like something was off. And I kept seeing them message somebody on their phone.
The only romantic experience happening here was with her date and her date's phone. Not only that, her date straight up lied.
Then they started eating meat and they were like telling me before this that they were plant-based. I'm like, who is this person that I decided to go to the mountains with? Like I'm hundreds of miles away from where I live, freaking out.
Conclusion?
Worst second date ever.
In addition to a messed up trip, Charmy figured out that there was obviously someone else in the picture.
It seems like they met this person probably very quickly after they had met me, but things had escalated a lot more quickly with this other person than they had with me.
That would have been really good information to have before she agreed to go.
I was very trapped. It could have been a horror movie very quickly. I did look on my phone to see like if I could get an Uber back home. It was like $500 and I was not about to pay $500. I was uncomfortable and I was annoyed and I was really angry and frustrated, but I knew I wasn't unsafe. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna ride this out. I wish I had the money to like leave in the middle of the night and her be like, what happened? I would have loved that. That would have been the best dramatic exit of all time.
But then the experience took a very random turn.
I have exquisite facial recognition. So if I see like a celebrity, I know instantly who it is. It actually sucks now because everybody's wearing their masks. So a lot of celebrities are walking around and I have no idea, but I'm very, very good at facial recognition. I like worked at a movie studio for a couple years and like, I know.
The cabin was near a ski mountain. And as Charmy was heading out to the slopes, she saw a Porsche pull up.
Certain people that are rappers or people who are like celebrities just have a certain swag about them. Their energy is different than the rest of civilization. I don't know. But I just knew immediately it was G-Eazy.
Easy. As in G-Eazy.
He was literally driving in his Porsche and he was just about to park and I was like, oh my God, that's G-Eazy.
Maybe it was cheesy, but Charmy was starstruck. For a moment, she forgot all about her crappy date and the frat dudes. She was all about Easy.
When he walked past me, we locked eyes and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to say hi to him. And then when I followed him, which sounds so creepy, but like I followed him into this other area where he could like get his skis. That's when, I met him and he was like super chilled out, super cool. And then I got a picture with him and he's so hot. That to me was like the best feeling ever.
So now when Charmy thinks back to the weekend,
now it like turned into my trip, like something that I could say that I did. Like, oh, I had this horrible date, which is a great story, but now I have this moment of meeting this rapper that I actually like and have always had a crush on, and I like got to meet him, and it just felt good.
Are you going away with somebody on a second date?
No, second date, no. Absolutely not.
You don't know the person, and also it could go so wrong and you don't have an exit strategy. Like, what are you doing?
Also, to make things worse, they kind of buried the information that this is a group trip. Not only are you going away with this person with no exit strategy, but you're on their turf, and Charmy got duped 100%.
I don't really understand the motivation behind inviting Charmy to a mountain trip and then kind of throwing her in the deep end without any heads up. Like, That's so inconsiderate and just bizarre to me. Like, if I'm inviting someone, I'm setting up the situation for them.
We heard this a couple weeks ago where they went to a New Year's Eve party and it's like, oh, I'm throwing you into I wanted to test you. And he's like, I'm not a fucking lab rat.
You're responsible for your guest.
I feel like this is a situation where they had a really good first date. They had a lot of fun together. And then Charmy went home and this person met another person. And this person was like, oh, I would so much rather have this person come to the mountains, but I already committed to Charmy and I don't want to cancel on her.
I don't know.
That's what it felt like to me.
That's such weird behavior. Here you are, you've sold a weekend away. That person thinks it's like kind of a romantic getaway. And then you spend your whole weekend on your cell phone. Like, that's so disrespectful. But you don't know this person after meeting them one time. That's why you shouldn't necessarily go away for a weekend with somebody. You know, I dated someone for 3 years and then we took a 7-day trip to Costa Rica. And I realized on that trip, we can never be together. I will never marry this person.
Traveling does put relationships to the test. Like, you learn a lot about someone. And you learned your ex, he was not going to make it home without you.
It was so unattractive.
Right, exactly. Like, you probably felt like you were playing mom.
I was playing mom, and also I had almost 3 years of dating this person, and I knew this person really well, and it was all surprising. And it was a deal breaker.
How long after did the relationship survive when you touched back down in Philly?
6 more months.
Whoa, I thought it was going to be shorter, but you knew at that point it was done.
I know. The 3 things that really sealed the deal was the Costa Rica trip, and then he showed up to my cousin's wedding with a goatee. He had never tried on the goatee before. First time seeing the goatee, that set me back. And then he kind of ruined family Thanksgiving. So all of those things together, we're done.
How'd the goatee go? Like, did he pick you up to drive to the wedding and you got in the passenger seat and you're like, whoa?
We met in the hotel lobby, and that's when I was confronted with the Van Dyke. And it wasn't a goatee, it was the Van Dyke. And it was not great. I was like, of all places, family photos to try out this new look.
There's going to be a new segment on Dating Diaries, at least as you guys keep filling in our inbox. We're getting a ton of responses just to each episode. And at the end of episodes, we want to start sharing your notes, people who are writing into us. Mailbox is pretty full.
Yeah.
Dre, I love this letter because I think this is a problem to every single person. I think this is very relatable. So you want to lead us into it?
Okay, so the email says, "Hi, Andrea and Ben. First and foremost, big congrats to Ben and his wife on welcoming Ethan into the world. He is the cutest little guy. That's so cute.
Oh, he is such a little guy.
Ethan already has fans. Secondly, this may be a silly question. I just wanted your insight. In the past month, 2 men have reached out to me on Hinge, and I matched with them, only to have them never contact me. And after 2 weeks, the match just falls off. Why reach out to someone if you have no intention of communicating with them? The only reasoning that makes sense is that each guy was metaphorically throwing pasta against the wall to see what would stick, and another poor lady got trapped first. Thoughts? And thanks so much."
I hate to say it, not to be pessimistic about the dating world, but I think a lot of people use the apps just like they do fishing. How many lines can they have out? Waiting just for a fish to bite and see where it goes.
It happens all the time to everybody. I'm not trying to say like depersonalize it, but it's just the nature of the beast. I like people all the time. And sometimes when they match with me, I just don't have the energy to, like, honestly, this is really bad. I don't have the energy to spark up another conversation.
Right.
I feel bad. Like, I got a like earlier today, and he's like, "Hey, how's your day?" But I'm literally deep in conversation with so many other guys. I just don't really feel like adding another conversation to the plate. It's nothing against this person. I just can't take it on.
Yep.
It's that simple. And I know that that's probably really hurtful, but it's not. It's just the way that this works.
Can I give one more example from the married guy's perspective?
Yeah.
Designated dating is a real thing. One of my favorite party games, I don't do it that much anymore, but like taking your single friend's phone and swiping for them.
Oh, that could be something that's happening.
There is a phenomena, some dude's friend swiped right on you and then, you know, they sobered up and looked the next day and you made a connection and like maybe they just didn't want to continue to engage because they're like, oh, my dumbass friend swiped right. Like, I know it matters in the moment, but I think that's part of dating today. You need to be able to brush off that little stuff. Just swipe right on them again and see if they engage again. We're here to answer your questions too. Reach out to us at datingdiariespod@gmail.com. That's datingdiariespod@gmail.com. Tell us what's on your mind. Share your stories.
We're in this relationship thing with you. So we're a big, happy, slightly dysfunctional family, and we love you guys.
If you like the show, please review and give us 5 stars and let your friends know about it. Share us on social.
And we'll see you next week. Stay safe out there, guys. This podcast is hosted and executive produced by me, Andrea Gunning. Executive produced by Nancy Glass, Ben Fetterman, and Carrie Hartman. Produced by Julie Clark. Associate producers include Megan Paisley and Kristen Malcurie. Edited by Mac Daggett and Matt Del Vecchio. Special thanks to Natalie Thomas. Music by Mybe Music. Some names have been changed to protect privacy.